Hello, good morning. Welcome to my new video. How are you, dear students? Hope doing well. Hope you are enjoying virtual classes. And one another thing you must be enjoying these days is monsoon, rainy days. Look outside throughout the window. Be there in your courtyard or on the terrace. You can enjoy these crystal silvery threads. Well, let's then read about rain and enjoy. The chapter today I am going to discuss is a poem named The Voice of the Rain by a famous American poet, Walt Whitman. Now, the content of this video is about the poet, theme, reading of the poem, textual explanation, analysis, technique, vocabulary, and discussion of few questions. Students, I discuss a chapter in each and every aspect of it. I try to explain it. I try to touch whatever the points you need to know. You will get everything other than the summary of the text or lesson. That is what you should prepare after you understand the chapter properly. You go through this video, watch the videos, whatever I prepare for you, my dear students, and read the text properly. So, summary is supposed to be done by you, not by the teacher. Now, let me start and begin with first about the poet. Poet Walt Whitman must be familiar to you. In standard 9 must be you people have gone through one of his famous poem, The Road Not Taken. He was born in, poet Walt Whitman was born in Huntington on Long Island in 1819, and he lived in Brooklyn most of his, that means days in his life. He worked as a journalist, a teacher, a government clerk. During the American Civil War, he even worked in hospitals nursing the wounded. His well-known major poetry collection, what is named as Leaves of Grass, was first published in 1855, and it has several editions published at different times later. He died at the age of 72. Next, what is the thematic content of this poem? The poem deals with the life story of rain. It traces out water cycle. A scientific phenomenon is beautifully expressed and denoted by the poet's work of imagination. Let me read out the poem and the text, and this will be followed by textual explanation. The Voice of the Rain, written by Walt Whitman. And who art thou, said I to the soft falling shower, which, strange to tell, gave me an answer, as here translated. I am the poem of art, said the voice of the rain. Eternal I rise, impalpable, out of the land and the bottomless sea, upward to heaven, whence, vaguely formed, altogether changed and yet the same, I descend to lave draughts, satomies, dust layers of the globe, and all that in them without me were seeds only, latent, unborn. And forever, by day and night, I give back life to my own origin, and make pure and beautify it. For song, issuing from its birthplace after fulfillment, wandering, wrecked or unwrecked, duly with love returns. Now, explanation of the text. And who art thou? Who are you? Thou is an archaic word meaning you. And who art thou? Who are you? Said I to the soft falling shower. The poet has asked to the soft falling shower, that means the rain. The poem begins with a question asked by the poet, and whom he has asked this one? He has asked the rain, which, strange to tell, gave me an answer as here translated. And he is surprised to get an answer, a reply from rain, from the rain. He never ever expected rain would reply, rain would answer to this question. I am the poem of art. What rain has told? Rain has told, rain is the poem of the art. Say the voice of the rain, eternal I rise, impalpable, eternal, always, forever, I rise, impalpable. Impalpable, something what cannot be touched. Impalpable out of the land and the bottomless sea. It rises up from where? From the earth. From where? To be precise, from the sea, the bottomless sea, from the water bodies. Upward to heaven, whence vaguely formed, altogether changed and yet the same. Upward to heaven, it rises up above to the sky. Whence, from where it gets formed, vaguely formed, not clear, does not have a clear shape, distinctive shape, but it takes a shape, altogether changed, but yet the same. But in spite of that, essence is same. It changes itself, but essence is same. I descend to lave the drops, atoms, dust layers of the globe, the earth. It descends. The rain descends, fall down onto the earth. Why? To lave the drops, to wash the drops, atoms, dust layers, whatever the impurities the earth has. And all that in them without me were seeds only, latent and unborn. And without me, the seeds over on this earth will not be able to grow. The seeds will be hidden. The life will be hidden there in the seeds. I descend, I fall down onto the earth and I give life to them. For me, I provide water and it grows. And forever by day and night, for eternal time, that means each and every time, I give back life to my own origin. So it's a cycle. It says that, the rain says that, I give back life to my own origin. So making it a cycle. I just rise upward. I just form here onto this earth. From the water bodies, from the bottomless seas, from the lands. I rise up above and the sky. Out there I change form, but my essence is same. Then I descend. I fall down onto the earth. I do something. I purify. I wash all the atoms, dust layers, impurities and etc. I give life to the seeds. For me, seeds grow and make pure and beautify it. It here refers to the earth. For song, last couplet. For song, issuing from its birthplace after fulfillment. Wandering, wrecked or unwrecked, duly with love returns. Wrecked or unwrecked meaning felt or unfelt, loved or not loved, liked or disliked, heard or unheard, etc. So what does it mean? The poet here brings in this couplet brings a comparison, has drawn a parallelism. He compares the rain to song. Rain has told that she is the poem of the earth. You see, song also is just another kind of poetry. Just as song, well, after being written and composed, leaves its birthplace and eventually returns to the creator, regardless whether it is heard or unheard, loved or not loved, liked or disliked, whether appreciated or not. So similarly, the rain also returns to its birthplace. That means the earth. It returns to its that means to origin form to the earth to revitalize all, to refresh all, to purify all, to beautify all, to give life to everything. So, short poem, this was the line by line explanation of the text. Now, I shall analyze the poem, analysis of the poem. In the voice of the rain, in this poem, rain is portrayed as one who nourishes the world. The poet has beautifully and poetically denoted one natural but scientific process of water cycle, that is rain. The stages of rain we know are, you people know, you have studied also in science books, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, right? So all these are aptly, vividly described, poetically described here by the poet. One more thing, there are two comparisons made in this poem. What? One is with the poem. The rain says, I am the poem. The other is with the song, the last couplet you have seen. So all these three we can consider to be epitomes of ones who soothe, heal and nourish life. The poem begins with a conversation which is quite different and unconventional. The poet asks rain a question, and with a surprise he discovers that the rain responds to his question. And one another point to be noted here, that other than this introductory first two lines and last couplet, last two lines, last couplet, the entire poem is a translation of what the rain told in response. Okay. Now, rain spoke in what language? There you must make your imagination work. You think. As for this poem, the soft falling shower has its voice in the rhythm of falling droplets. Silvery droplets, beautiful. Simultaneously, we can say that the poet and the rain have set up an imaginary communication in between them. This was the analysis. Now I'll discuss technique of the poem. We discuss in technique, we discuss poetic devices, we discuss rhyming schemes, metrical patterns, forms and etc. Here, what do you have as poetic devices? We have apostrophe. Not apostrophe the punctuation mark. Apostrophe is one another kind of poetic devices also. Poetic device also. So apostrophe. We have imagery. We have metaphor. We have personification, parallelism, alliteration, hyperbole. 7 things. 7 figures of speech. Let me start with. What is apostrophe? Apostrophe is a poetic device which refers to an address to an imaginary presence or things or people who are not actually present. the poem begins with a question. To whom the poet is asking? Rain. So, that means, who art thou? Example, who art thou, said I to the soft falling shower. This is a very good example of, very unconventional about it. Next one is imagery. What is creates an image. See, maximum of the poetic devices you people know, and I have in my previous videos, I have given definitions also. I request you people, please go and watch the former videos, previous videos on the poems specifically of standard 11 CBSE chapters. As for example, I take the photograph, etc., the laburnum top, etc. So, imagery. What is the example here? Soft falling shower. Soft falling shower is the rain, and it creates an image in our mind. Next one is metaphor. I am the poem of earth. So, this is a metaphor. Personification. Entire poem is, you find so many examples of personification. In the entire poem, rain is personified. What are the examples? Examples we have: eternal I rise, impalpable. Now I descend to lay draughts. Make it, this line, make pure and beautify it. It refers to the earth. So these are the examples where we have got rain to be personified. Now parallelism. What does it mean? The state of being parallel or of corresponding in some way. The poet has drawn a parallelism between the rain and song in last couplet. Example, for song issuing from its birthplace after fulfillment wandering, wrecked or unwrecked duly with love returns. This one is a good example of parallelism. Next is alliteration. Sorry. Next is alliteration. Example in these lines. Okay, draughts means dust layers. Draughts and dust layers, even though not exactly one after another placed, D and D, but yes, of course, closely placed. Soft falling shower, S and S altogether. Okay, next one, important. I don't know whether you have got this one. Hyperbole. Hyperbole means exaggerated statement, not meant to be taken it literally. Okay. Example of, see in this line, bottomless sea. Bottomless sea is a good example of hyperbole. The poet depicts sea as bottomless, which is an exaggerated statement to bring out the desired effect. Now I will talk about, see, these were all poetic devices here, what the poet has used. Now I will talk about metrical pattern or rhyming scheme. Dear student, this poem is a free verse. What is free verse? The poem which doesn't follow any particular stanza, line, structure, neither it has a regular metrical pattern. This is called free verse. So you will find this one is a free verse. Let's check. First one, you won't find any well-defined stanzas over here. Okay. And now check rhyming pattern. First line, shower. Second line, translate. Third, rain. Fourth, sea. Do you find any rhyming pattern, rhyming scheme? No, obviously no. And if you go through the other lines also, you will find that the poem doesn't contain any rhyming pattern, metrical pattern. So, next is vocabulary. Time to check vocabulary now. Some of these I have already told you people. Now, let me go to list all those up here. Thou I have told, an archaic form of you. Thou means you, but this is an archaic use. Impalpable, something that cannot be touched. We cannot touch it. Impalpable. You people know that that means whenever, can you touch cloud? No. Achha, one another thing. Okay, after vocabulary, I will discuss one another thing over there. Right. Whence, an archaic word. Once again. What means? Whence means from what place or source. Lave means to wash, washing, wash. Rect or unrect, rect. I have told you hard or unhard here. Specifically, hard or unhard, liked or disliked, loved or not loved, felt or not unfelt, not felt, etc. Okay, in analysis, I have, sorry students, I have missed one point. Since you have seen that water cycle in science also, you have gone through, that means you have studied about this water cycle. I have mentioned about here, but one thing I have missed, which lines to point out, to show you which lines show and depicts, expresses these stages: evaporation, condensation and precipitation. Let me quote the lines here. Evaporation. Whenever I rise in form of vapor, the rain says, I take birth in this earth only, from the land, from the bottomless sea, and I rise in form of vapor. Okay, so that means what? Evaporation. Which line? This line. Eternal I rise, impalpable out of the land and the bottomless sea. This line shows or depicts scientific process of evaporation. Now, next one is condensation. Well, condensation, whenever it rises up in the sky and over there it condenses, and it says that impalpable, it cannot be touched. We cannot touch cloud. So it cannot be touched. Upward, the line here. Upward to heaven, whence vaguely formed, altogether changed, and yet the same. This beautifully depicts, condensation. Next stage is precipitation. So, which, let me cite or quote. I descend to lay the drops, atomies, dust layers of the globe. I descend, that means I fall down. I precipitate on this earth. So these three lines shows three scientific process of water cycle over here. This actually I have missed, while I was analyzing the text, I have missed to mention here. Okay, now time to discuss question. Let me take a few questions from here. There are two voices in the poem. First question. Who do they belong to? Which lines indicate this? There are two voices in the poem. Obviously, you know that this is a communication. A communication has taken place. I have told you people. Now, communication obviously in form of dialogue. You can see here dialogues, Poet, the two voices in the poem are poet's voice, the poet who was asking question, and the rain who was replying, responding to his question. So we have two voices here, of the poets and the rain. Next part of this question was, who do they belong to? I have already answered. Which lines indicate? Yes, of course. Now let me cite. Who art thou? This line, said I to the soft falling shower. I am the poem of art. So who art thou? Who has spoken these words? The poet. I am the poem of art. Who has spoken this one? Rain. Right? So these two lines you will cite in support of your answer. Okay. Next one. What does the phrase strange to tell mean? Yes, of course. Strange to tell mean, very unexpectedly he has asked, the poet, but he never ever has expected to get a reply from the rain unexpectedly. Unexpected response he has got. That surprised him all the more. So that is why he says that it is strange to tell. There are a couple of other questions also, but I hope you students, you will prepare. As I have told you people, I'll discuss each and every technical and non-technical points, and aspects of this feature of the text. But framing answer, value point I'll give for the process. I give all the value points also. 2-3 questions I discuss as well. Here also I have discussed. But mostly that should be done by you students dear, and the summary as well. So assignment I give you here, you will prepare summary of the poem, right? So that's all for the day. Meet you all my dear students in my next video. Till then, take care, stay safe, stay secure, bye.